you should not. For my ally is the Force, and a powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us and binds us. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. You must feel the Force around you. Here, between you, me, the tree, the rock, everywhere. Yes, even between the land and the ship.
Yoda always made the Force sound so beautiful. A unifying power that made all people and all beings in the galaxy connected in some sort of really important way. And you know, often that's what it is. When Princess Leia and The Force Awakens, spoilers alert here, when she senses Han Solo's death and she can tell that her loved one is gone from the universe, that is beautiful. Just like when Obi-Wan senses the destruction of Alderaan and he senses the vast loss of life, that is beautiful. What's not beautiful, though, are some of the items on this list. They are silly, and you guys know that I love the expanded universe, but that I realize and that I acknowledge that sometimes it's a bit wonky. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. The wonkiest, the dumbest, the silliest, the top 5 strangest Force powers from the expanded universe. And this list is going to be based on Yoda's comments, because he is the Grand Master of the Jedi after all, that the Force is a unifying power that permeates the entire universe and that connects individuals to one another. So without further ado, let's start the list. So number 5 on our list is MIDICLORIAN manipulation. And I actually think Palpatine can explain this one better than I can, so I'm going to go ahead and let him speak.
I am the Senate.
Oops, wrong clip. Let's try that again.
Darth Plagueis was a dark lord of the Sith, so powerful and so wise, he could use the Force to influence the midichlorians to create life. He had such a knowledge of the dark side, he could even keep the ones he cared about from dying.
Before I start, I just want to go ahead and acknowledge that this is an amazing scene. Ian McDiarmid kills it as Palpatine, as he always does, and I'm just going to say, I know he's a bad dude, but he's still charming the hell out of me here. Like, I can't blame Anakin for falling to the dark side. I'm going to be honest, the only reason this power makes my list is because of its reliance on midichlorians, which I hate. So you're telling me Darth Plagueis was able to influence microscopic life forms to do his bidding? Like, that makes him sound like more of a scientist than a Sith Lord. And I realize there's the argument that, you know, all Force abilities are just being able to influence midichlorians, but you know what? Just because that's an argument doesn't mean that I like it. And when midichlorians are brought up so directly, it just, I just don't like it. I mean, if it had just been, oh, he was able to create life through sheer will of the Force, or through immense Force powers, if they just left it at that, fine. Like, if they just left it at, he was able to use his dark side powers to stop people from dying or to create life, fine. But the fact that the power comes down to influencing midichlorians puts it on number 5 on my list. Number 4 on my list is Plant Surge. And that's not because I have any problem with the Force being used to interface with nature. I mean, that really makes the most sense with Yoda's quote. I mean, controlling animals or making friends with animals with the Force, fine. Even having some minor control over plants with the Force, hey, cool by me. But that's not what Plant Surge does. Plant Surge practically transforms you into poison ivy.
I hate to disappoint you, but rubber lips are immune to your charms.
It allows you to change how fast plants grow and in what shape they grow. It allows you to use them to grab things. Really, let's be honest, it's used to grab people and wrap them up with vines, and that's pretty much it. And I don't know, the fact that this power is basically exclusively used to wrap people up with vines, that puts it on number 4 for me. Number 3 on my list is Electric Judgment, which, according to Wikipedia, is also called Emerald Lightning. But let's be honest, what this Force power basically boils down to is an orange version of Force Lightning. And to be even more honest, this is basically just a version of Force Lightning that the Jedi like to use so they don't feel as guilty about tapping into their anger in the dark side. And that's why, instead of being spooky blue, it's nice calming orange. Or sometimes, of course, as the name suggests, a nice pretty green color. And this is one of the problems I have with Star Wars. Everything has to be black or white. You have to either use the dark side of the Force or the light side of the Force. I think a much better way to approach the Jedi using Force Lightning would just be to recognize that if you properly control yourself and if you don't give in to anger, even when using aggressive techniques like Force Lightning, you can stop from falling to the dark side or stop from tapping into the dark side. But that's not what we get. We get Orange Force Lightning. That's why this is number 3 on my list. The second goofiest power in Star Wars history is Force Doppelganger. And I'm gonna be straight with you guys. A large reason that this is so high in the list is because it reminds me of one of my favorite scenes from Total Recall.
Do you think this is the real Quaid? It is.
So I guess you can't really tell in that clip, but Arnold Schwarzenegger just used a hologram to trick these easily fooled bad guy grunts. Besides from the callback, which I admit I do kind of enjoy, this Force power is really on the list because I just don't understand how it interacts and how it really comes from Yoda's conception of the Force and just my idea of the Force generally. I understand how Force Lightning can work because you're channeling the dark side of the Force and, exerting it at your will. With, Force lightsaber throw or Force jump, you're somehow controlling some physical matter and exerting your will over it in a different way. Then with things like battle meditation, you're using the Force on a more macro scale to influence grander events. But with this, you're kind of just making a hologram. And I don't see how the Force can do that, and I don't see why the Force can do that, more importantly. Why not have, a hologram belt? That would fit perfectly into the Star Wars universe. Have a hologram belt, then everyone can use a hologram. Plus, we wouldn't have continued to muddy the already extensive use of the Force and just made it sillier and sillier. Finally, I don't like the Sith or Jedi having to use such foolish and such basic trickery. At least with like a Jedi mind trick, you're actually influencing how a person thinks. You're, tapping into their brain and changing it to your will. With Force hologram, you're basically saying, hey, look, this looks like me. For those 3 or 4 reasons, this is number 2 on my list. The number 1 dumbest Force power in the Star Wars universe is the the thought bomb. It's not the spirit bomb, despite the fact that it's pretty much exactly the same. So basically, for a thought bomb to work, a group of dark side users get in a circle, probably hold hands, chant some bullshit ritual, throw their energies up into a big ball, and launch it at whatever poor sucker is in the way. Oh yes, and for some reason it also traps the spirit of everyone caught in the bomb's radius, for some reason. I forgot to tell you, it also sucks all the heat from the nearby surroundings, and you activate it by clapping your hand. So it's basically the Force clap on, clap off. Except instead of turning on a light, it extinguishes the body and the soul of every nearby person. And I just don't know why this is necessary. I mean, this one kind of makes sense if you take Yoda's conception of the Force into account, but I mean, trapping people's souls and like everyone putting their dark energies together, it's just so cheesy and it's just so 90s Star Wars. And I'm not saying that I hate this, and I'm not saying I wouldn't read the shit out of a book like this because I enjoy the pulpiness of the expanded universe sometimes, but this Force power is pretty dumb. I mean, I guess the idea of trapping someone forever within some sort of spooky Force bomb thing is kind of cool, but it's just not very Star Wars-y, and for that reason, it's number 1 on my list. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this top 5 dumbest Force powers list. I know it's a little different from normal, but I thought it'd be fun to maybe take a lighter look at the Star Wars universe. So I'm not featuring any comments of the day, and not because there's no good ones, because there are, but I want to focus on something different today. And I just want to let you guys know that I'm going to start taking questions for an eventual Q&A video I'm going to upload. So whether this is something short, like what do you think of this movie, or can you explain this, whatever it is, let me know in advance. I'll do some research, or I'll write something down and I'll present it in a video. If you'd rather me focus on it for one of my rambling videos, which I'd probably give it a bit more time, you can specify that and I'll keep that in mind. I'm also going to start accepting gameplay videos to feature on presumably my Q&As and my rambling videos, so I don't want you guys to just look at a blank screen, and when I'm doing a rambling video, I don't want to have to do too much editing, so I thought it'd be a good idea to feature some of the community Star Wars gameplay. So send me a video, and I will, of course, link to your YouTube channel. I'll give you credit. Maybe you get a few more views. Good for both of us. So just either send me a message on here, send me an email, or comment, and maybe I'll feature your video. Anyways, guys, this has been Eckhart's Ladder. Thank you so much for watching. I know I said I wasn't going to post today, but I did. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you next time.